Have you ever wondered why Jews don't accept Jesus as the Messiah? It's a question that has puzzled many people for centuries. In this video, we'll explore the Jewish perspective on Jesus and the reasons why they rejected him as the Messiah. Imagine growing up in a world where the Messiah is expected to be a powerful king who will free your people from oppression. Now, imagine a man who claims to be that Messiah, but doesn't fit the mold. That's the world Jesus stepped into. Join me as we uncover the real truth behind this fascinating and pivotal topic. Reason 1: confusion. One of the primary reasons why Jews rejected Jesus as the Messiah is that they were looking for a different kind of savior. The Jewish people were waiting for a Messiah who would fulfill all the prophecies in the Old Testament, including rebuilding the temple, gathering the exiles, and bringing peace to the world. However, Jesus did not fulfill these prophecies at his first coming. He did not rebuild the temple, which was still standing during his lifetime. He did not gather the exiles, as the Jewish people were still living in Israel. He did not bring peace to the world, as the Roman Empire was still in power. The Jewish leaders expected the Messiah to be a powerful king who would free them from Roman oppression and establish an earthly kingdom. They were looking for a Messiah who would fulfill all the prophecies at once, not in two separate comings. For example, in Joel 3:1-17, the prophecy speaks of the Messiah purging evil from the world and establishing a kingdom of peace. In Psalm 2:6-9, the Messiah is described as ruling with a rod of iron. In Isaiah 2:4, the Messiah is said to bring peace to the nations. When Jesus did not fulfill these prophecies, the Jewish leaders rejected him as the Messiah. They did not understand that there would be a gap between his first and second coming, a concept that was hidden from them and only revealed to the Apostle Paul, Ephesians 3:4-6. Even Jesus' own followers were initially confused about his mission. In Acts 1:6, they asked him, "Lord, has the time come for you to free Israel and restore our kingdom?" They were expecting him to establish an earthly kingdom, but Jesus taught that his kingdom was spiritual, not physical, Matthew 4:17. Another prophecy that Jesus did not fulfill at his first coming is the rebuilding of the temple. In Ezekiel 40-48, the prophecy speaks of the Messiah rebuilding the temple and establishing a new system of worship. However, the temple was still standing during Jesus' lifetime, and he did not rebuild it. The Jewish leaders also expected the Messiah to gather the exiles and bring them back to Israel. In Isaiah 11:12, the prophecy speaks of the Messiah gathering the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. However, Jesus did not gather the exiles, as the Jewish people were still living in Israel. These unfulfilled prophecies led the Jewish leaders to reject Jesus as the Messiah. They did not understand that these prophecies would be fulfilled at his second coming. Interesting, huh? What about another key reason Jews rejected Jesus? That's next. Reason 2. Was Jesus a threat? Another significant reason why Jews rejected Jesus as the Messiah is that they saw him as a threat to their faith. In Judaism, the Shema prayer, Deuteronomy 6:4-5, is a central affirmation of faith, declaring that God is one and indivisible. Jews are taught from a young age to worship and love God alone. However, Jesus made statements that were seen as blasphemous, such as, "Before Abraham was, I am," John 8:58, and "The Father and I are one," John 10:30. These statements were interpreted as claims to divinity, which contradicted the Jewish understanding of God as one and indivisible. When Jesus said, "Before Abraham was, I am," the Jewish leaders were stunned. They knew exactly what he was claiming. He was saying he was God, and in their eyes, that was blasphemy. In response to these statements, the Jewish leaders attempted to stone Jesus, as blasphemy was punishable by death in Jewish law, John 8:59, John 10:31. They saw Jesus as a threat to their faith and traditions. Jesus also claimed to be the I am, John 8:24, which was seen as a direct claim to divinity. He said, "No one comes to the Father except through me," John 14:6, which challenged the Jewish understanding of salvation. These claims were seen as a direct attack on the Jewish faith, and the leaders of the time felt compelled to reject Jesus as the Messiah. Wow, fascinating, isn't it? Now to the third real reason on why Jews rejected Jesus as Messiah. Reason 3. Challenging teachings. Jesus also challenged the Jewish leaders' authority and traditions, which further alienated him from the Jewish community. For example, in Matthew 15:1-2, the Pharisees and teachers of the law criticized Jesus' disciples for not following the tradition of ceremonial hand-washing. Jesus responded by questioning their own traditions, such as their practice of dedicating money to God to avoid supporting their parents, Matthew 15:3-6. He also redefined the Sabbath, teaching that it was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, Mark 2:27. Additionally, Jesus taught that people should love their enemies and pray for them, Matthew 5:44, which contradicted the Old Testament's emphasis on purging evil. He also claimed the authority to forgive sins, Mark 2:5, which was seen as a challenge to the Jewish system of atonement through sacrifice and the priesthood. Jesus' teachings on divorce, Matthew 19:3-9, and his criticism of the Pharisees' hypocrisy, Matthew 23:1-36, were also seen as a threat to the Jewish leaders' authority. These teachings were seen as a direct challenge to the Jewish way of life, and the leaders felt compelled to reject Jesus as the Messiah. So, the reasons why Jews rejected Jesus as the Messiah are complex and multifaceted. They include confusion between prophecies about his first and second coming, his perceived blasphemy, and his challenge to Jewish religious teachings and traditions. Understanding these reasons can help us appreciate the differences between Christianity and Judaism and foster greater respect and empathy. It can also encourage us to reflect on our own beliefs and the importance of seeking truth and understanding. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Let's continue to explore the fascinating world of biblical history and theology together. God bless you. Bible Short Stories, signing off.